I don't know why it starts at 3 minutes each time. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Double A. This is your favorite people, or favorite podcasters, I should say, Arianne and Amber. Hello, hello. Hope you guys are having a wonderful evening today.
We're serving you cocoa, melanin, and Filipino all today. I'm not cocoa, but we just gonna say it. I'm like,
So we kind of switch roles. I have her kids for the next 2 weeks, so they're here. She's
yeah.
got the whole place to herself, all quiet at night.
My husband's at work. My animals are in their cages. I move my hamsters to my bedroom, so you guys will not have to hear their wheels unless I record in my bedroom. But it should be really quiet. Also, to answer a question, why do we go live and record late? Usually, this is a good time to do it because kids are typically asleep. Since my kids are with Arianne, they're actually in her living room, but typically they'll be in their rooms, door shut. So this is a time where kids should not be up in our business listening to our cases because these cases aren't for kids. But unfortunately, my kids have to listen to these cases. But fret not, my friends. One of my children likes horror, so she's cool.
Yeah.
But that's why we go late, because this is not for kids.
It's not. Especially the story that I'm going to be doing today. Heads up, you guys, it's a lot of kids involved.
This week is full of kids because my double features kids too.
Yeah. So now we're going to take it to the United States for I think this is the first time I did something from the US. Everything is normally like overseas, Canada, Australia, Japan, China.
Everywhere. But this week is all about the US, and I think it's important that we do that both of our episodes contain children because there's been the influx of the sex trafficking, kidnapping, and missing children. So these are some cases that have been forgotten about.
Right, and this is actually a really, really old case.
Yeah.
It is basically an open and shut case, although it did last almost 10 years.
That's long for a case, honey. Oh yeah,
but
don't mind me in the background. I'm eating oatmeal. You can thank my children for eating all my ramen. I couldn't have ramen in Olympia, so I'm eating oatmeal. It's the only thing I've eaten okay. And I haven't eaten.
So now I'll be going back and forth. I do have notes, but I also have the internet up for this because it is quite a bit. So I'm gonna do what's most important from this person, and we are talking about Mr. Albert Fish. He was actually born as Hamilton Howard Fish. He was born on May 19th, 1870. So we taking it way back.
Way back. I think that's further than any case I've taken.
Yeah, so we're taking it super back. But like I said, this will contain a lot of sexual assault towards children, some gore.
You know what? It's interesting to see how forensics have evolved from centuries ago.
Well, here's the thing that he kind of just up and confessed to it. That's why I said it was like an open and shut case, because literally he confessed to it. He had a what is it called? He had a 10-year gap. So here's the thing. Cool. They think that he murdered more than 7 people, but his crimes
froze.
Oh, I'm not frozen anymore. Cobain.
You were real pitchy right there.
Oh. Anyways, Yeah. So they think that he murdered more than 7 people, but his crimes surpassed that number greatly.
Crimes as in like the sexual assault and
Yeah, everything
battery.
else except murder.
Okay. So, tell us about this fella. Is he African American,
No,
Caucasian?
he's white.
Okay.
So, Mr. Fish was actually born the youngest of 4 children to Randall and Ellen Fish, and Mr. Older Fish, Mr. Randall Fish, was actually
Mr. Olderfish, are you talking about daddy?
I will say Older Fish, okay? He was actually 43 years older than his mother. Now, mind you, we're talking
We're
about
talking about daddy.
1870s, early 1900s.
You're talking about
Okay.
the daddy, right?
Yeah, we're talking about the dad. The
Why
dad
would
is
you say
43
daddy?
years older than the mom.
Okay, so he's half a century older than the mama. He's still daddy. You ain't got to call him older. Just daddy.
He is older. No.
Daddy Olderfish.
He's the older fish. He's the older fish.
Let's say daddy so
Okay.
I don't get confused, girl. It's not hard
Talk
to
about older
confuse.
fish. So Mr. Older Fish here, when the younger fish was born,
Girl, girl. Cut it.
listen to the story. Okay, listen to the story. When
Not
Mr.
the redfish.
Younger
Redfish.
lists, hush. When Mr. Younger fish, I have to scratch my eye because my hair was getting into my eye, or my eyelashes got into my eye. I don't know. One of those got into my eye. Anyways, when Younger Fish was born, Mr. Big Fish, or
You
Older
are
Fish,
sober.
was 75 years old.
Oh my god. That was freak.
Okay, so he was 75 years old when the Younger Fish was born. The older fish had died of a heart attack in 1875.
Please say daddy. I cannot make it through your case without laughing.
Well, thankfully he died. Okay, so we're not going to talk about
Thankfully,
older fish anymore after this.
you're gonna say thankfully this man dead. You're gonna say thankfully he died.
Well, I mean,
You are a cruel woman.
Well, we know.
Okay, so daddy's
Mr.
dead now.
Mr. Older Fish died in 1875.
Guys, we could take this serious. We're gonna get to this case. So she's a nut. I can't do this. Literally, Dr. Seuss is a mess.
So
when
when Mr. Younger Fish was 5, Mr. Big Fish died. Okay, Big Fish gone out the picture. So the mama fish, we got to make light of this. I'm telling you, it gets worse. Okay, so you got to bear with me. We've got to make light of their names because that's just what we have to do.
I'm just trying to eat my porridge.
Miss Mama Fish, okay, she couldn't take care of the kids. So as I stated, he was the youngest of four kids. These are 4 living siblings, okay? As far as I know, he had 1 dead sibling, which is why he took that name Albert, because his name was Hamilton Howard, okay? But he took Albert because that was his dead sibling's name.
I don't know if that's cool or weird. It just depends on the context.
Right. Well, so the reason why he took that was when Big Fish had died, Mama Fish couldn't take care of the kids, okay?
You can say mom fish, but you can't say daddy fish.
I can't say lady fish. What am I supposed to?
Why
Small fish? You
daddy
can't say
fish?
small fish either because that's the kid.
Small
So she's gonna be Mama Fish. I'm not gonna say daddy fish. Mama Fish, okay? Mama Fish put Albert, put Little Fish in the orphanage because she couldn't take care of him. She didn't have the money. She was dependent on Big Fish. Okay, Big Fish died. Big Fish gone. Huh?
There was no welfare in that time. No government assistance.
Mm-mm.
Everything was like poverty or not.
Right. So, when he got sent to the orphanage, the other siblings from what I read, a lot of the siblings had mental issues, which the further reading into this case, I can see Albert having mental issues. It doesn't state if he got it from birth, if he just, but his experiences throughout life contributed towards it even more.
Is there any
So
inbreeding?
had two, I don't know, younger, two of his siblings, I wouldn't say younger because he's the youngest. Two of his siblings actually ended up being in mental hospitals or mental institutions. And we all know at mental institutions at that time, they were doing experiments on these people.
Oh, and while she's saying, guys, there's a big difference between a mental hospital and a mental institution. And people will get it confused, but it's a big difference.
But at the time they put them
I think
together,
it's the one, yeah.
it was the same.
And everybody's
But
trying to figure out things, so everybody was
in late 1800s, early 19 to 1920s, anything that contributed to you being hospitalized or housed because of your mental state, you were basically considered a crazy person. They wanted to do experiments on you. They wanted to see how your brain worked. They wanted to do like all this stuff. Okay.
It's so bad. There was a picture going around.
They were pricked and probed and basically electrocuted. They didn't care because at that point they were just like, well, you're crazy anyway, so we're just going to experiment on you because you don't know what we're doing to you.
That picture was going around of an institute that had closed down, and it had a tub full of the human brains from when they were doing the dissections. And to look at something that real and see that is actually part of history that really happened, and that all those brains actually belong to somebody's loved one. That was like hard to really. People are like, "Oh, that's cool." And when you think about that, it's not as cool as you're trying to make it out to be.
It's really not. So he actually went to go live at St. John's Orphanage down in Washington, or up in Washington, where supposedly he suffered regular abuse, which is common at that time. Orphanage kids getting abused, never getting adopted, or if they were adopted, they were still being abused by their adoptive parents. So it was quite
physical
common.
and sexual abuse.
Yeah, so here's where it starts getting a little wonky, okay? He started experiencing this abuse regularly to the point where he started getting pleasure from it.
Well, because by now, I can.
So now, mind you guys, we talked about the BDSM community this past Sunday. If you guys have not checked that out, definitely go and check that out. So this will he somewhat, basically puts himself into that community. But back then, again, this community really didn't exist. If they did, it was not the way it is now. So just keep that in mind. This is like a really old case, okay? So he started getting pleasure from being beaten. And so he started telling people to call him Albert, which is, like I said, his dead sibling's name, because the kids there started calling him Ham and Eggs. Because his name is Hamilton Howard Fish.
Yeah. Oh, they got jokes.
So his name was Ham and Eggs.
It's funny.
So he later claimed that he wasn't only experiencing like so-called terrible whippings. I don't know what that entails. I guess like severe whippings. But he saw things being done to young boys, which again, at that time, very common. Okay. So flash forward, his mother actually, Ellen, Mama Fish, gained an employment with the government in 1880. And he was able to get Albert back from the orphanage. And 2 years later, at the age of 12, okay, at the age of 12, he entered into a relationship with a telegraph boy.
Did y'all hear that? It was my freezer, just so y'all know. It was awesome. So
Wow.
he got in a relationship with the telegraph boy?
Yeah. So I assume this telegraph boy is like close to the age of 18, maybe between 16 and 18. Okay. Albert was only 12. So this
that's
boy
like
and started introducing Albert to very weird and very disgusting practices. Okay. And which included eating feces.
Oh wait, that's not
drinking pee. Okay. Then he started visiting public baths, which were quite popular back then too.
Is that like what you were saying is over there in your home country?
No, they have it in Korea, the public baths.
Oh, okay.
So it's almost like a sauna kind of. Mm-hmm. Just where you can pay like a small fee, use the shower, things like that. So he started going to these public baths to basically watch little boys undress.
That's a cheap strip club.
Yeah. So then he actually would also write like disgusting, perverted messages to women that were posting personal ads on the newspaper. So he would go and just like write them back and just be really, really perverted with it. So he actually got married. Before we get to the first murder, he actually got married, ended up having 6 children.
Interesting.
We don't know where those 6 children are now. I'm guessing I know they divorced. I think they stayed with their mother, and that was like the end of that. He got remarried in February of 1930, but only divorced after a week. And he was arrested later in May of 1930 for those letters that he was sending, those perverted letters that he was sending to the women and the personal ads. Okay, so this is the first. Well, I wouldn't know if it was considered the first, but this is one of the most famous victim that he had. It was of a young girl named Grace Budd. At the time of her death, she was 10 years old. So on May 25th, 1928, he saw a classified ad on the newspaper from a Mr. Edward Budd that stated, quote, young man 18 wishes position in country. Edward Budd, 406 West 15th Street, end quote.
Too much information.
So he was looking at the age of 18. He was actually looking for a almost like just some kind of job out in the country. He needed to support his family. He had a younger sister. He had his mom. I didn't read anything about the dad, so I'm guessing, he was helping the dad out because, at that time, a lot of older boys would go and help be the breadwinners for the family. So he put that ad, and that's when Fish, who was at the time 58 years old, okay, so we've done flash way forward. At the time he was 58 years old, he actually visited the family in Manhattan, which where he stated the young man lived, under the pretense of hiring Edward. But instead he confessed that he was actually supposed to kill Edward. That was his original plan, was to kill him. But what happened was he came, visited with the family, got close with the mom, was talking to the mom. Here comes cute little Grace, being nice and sweet to the stranger, and sat on his lap. And basically right then and there he had decided, okay, switch gears, she's going to be the one that I want. So what he ended up doing was he convinced his mom, or her mom, sorry, convinced her mom to have her go with him to a quote unquote child's party.
For people back
Mind
then,
you, he's 58, she's 10, and the mom allowed this. Okay, so convinced her. She said yes. So he had a house set up. Like I said, his original plan was to kill Edward. Okay, he already had a house set up to kill Edward in. So since he switched gears, he still had that house. So what he did was he took her to that house. He told her to stay outside, play a little bit. He went inside, took off all his clothes because he did not want any blood to get on him. He hid in the closet, yelled her name. She came in, of course, looking for him. And she was just looking around, looking for him. And when she had turned around, he jumped out of the closet, strangled her. So when he had strangled her, basically she was knocked out, laying on the floor. He ended up right then and there to cut up her body into small pieces. Hence why he was naked. He didn't want any clothes, or he didn't want any blood on his clothes. So ended up cutting her to pieces. And he claimed later on, we don't know if it's true, but we assume it's true because they couldn't find a body. But he said he ate everything except the head. So he later stated that it was because he had this friend who told him that human flesh was just the best meat out there. It was cheap because you can go and get it yourself. Basically telling him that you can go and kill yourself, get the meat, not have to pay for anything.
Was he like the first known cannibal? Publicly known?
It doesn't state anywhere that he would have been the first known one. But it's funny because not funny. It's not funny.
Ironic.
But ironically, his nickname is the Boogeyman.
I want to laugh so hard.
Yeah. So, anyways, after he basically ate up all of her plus organs, liver, all that. He ended up doing the same thing to a Mr. Billy Gaffney. He was abducted and taken to a dump on Ricker Avenue. took him to a nearby house, gagged him, tied him up, removed his clothes, and his clothes were burnt along with his shoes. Then Fish went home the next day, came back with tools. At the time, Gaffney was still alive, and Fish whipped him with a cat of nine tails. It's a whipping tool until blood was running down his legs. He then cut his mouth from ear to ear, cut off his nose and ears, and by the time his eyes were gouged out, the boy was Gaffney was actually dead. And then Albert stuck a knife in his belly and drank the blood. And his body was cut up in small pieces, and Albert claimed that he went to go and eat those. Yeah. So those are the two well-known murders. There was actually more of that, but we can assume that they were all done the same way. But the reason why I chose this is his quotes. Okay, but let me tell you a little bit of what he was charged with. Basically, he was charged. He was charged for cannibalism, strangulation, stabbing of minors. Then he had several psychiatrists come in and who testified that Mr. Fish had a lot of sexual fetishes. And here's where the BDSM community comes into play. But it's not really, like I said, it is completely, he took it to the utmost extreme. And at that time, I don't think they really knew what BDSM was, or at least it wasn't fully established the way it is now. You get what I'm saying? So they wrote down all his fetishes, which include sadism, a analogous, I guess. He likes doing it in the butt.
Oh. I mean, ain't nothing wrong with a little
pedophilia, masochism, urophilia.
The urination.
Just to name a few. The list goes on, people. It goes on. So, anyways, like I said, the quotes. Oh my gosh, the quotes he had. He had a love for pain. Okay, so his quote. He actually got sent to the electric chair at Sing Sing prison. The execution began January 16th, 1936 at 11:06 p.m. Okay. He was declared dead 3 minutes later, and he actually helped the person, who ties you up, or not ties you up, but puts the executioner. He actually helped the executioner put the stuff on him.
He was ready to go.
Yeah. So he said, quote, "What a thrill that will be if I have to die in the electric chair. It will be the supreme thrill, the only one I haven't tried." End quote. And then his other quote that's quite disturbing, and is, quote, "I like children. They are tasty." End quote.
I got a lot to say. I'm just gonna post a picture into the comments of that cat of nine tails. Y'all know what that looks like.
And then his other quote is, "I have no particular desire to live. I have no particular desire to be killed. It is a matter of indifference to me. I do not think I am altogether right." End quote. So he knew something was wrong. Like I said, his two of his other siblings, two or three, I know for sure two, were in a mental institution. So it would not surprise me one bit if he needed to be put in a mental institution. So the reason why I said earlier that Grace Budd was the one of the most popular victims is because he only wrote a letter to Grace's mother entailing what happened. And it's quite a letter. Shall we read it?
Yes.
This is to his mother.
Read it because
It
I got a lot
says,
to say.
"My dear Mrs. Budd, in 1894, a friend of mine shipped as a deckhand on the steamer Tacoma, Mr. Captain John Davis. They sailed from San Francisco to Hong Kong, China. On arriving there, he and two others went ashore and got drunk. When they returned, the boat was gone. At that time, there was a famine in China. Meal of any kind was from $1 to $3 a pound. So great was the suffering among the very poor that all children under 12 were sold to the butchers to be cut up and sold for food, in order to keep others from starving. A boy or girl under 14 was not safe in the street. You could go in any shop and ask for steak, chops, or stew meat. Part of the naked body of a boy or girl would be brought out and just what you wanted cut from it. A boy or girl's behind, which is the sweetest part of the body, and sold as veal cutlet, brought the highest price. John said there so long he acquired a taste for human flesh. On his return to New York, he stole two boys, one 7, one 11, took them to his home, stripped them naked, tied them in the closet, then burned everything they had on. Several times every day and night he spanked them, tortured them, to make them to make their meat good and tender. First he killed the 11-year-old boy because he had the fattest ass and of course the most meat on it. Every part of his body was cooked and eaten except the head, bones and guts. He was roasted in the oven, all of his ass, boiled, broiled, fried, and stewed. The little boy was next, went the same way. At that time, I was living in 409 East 100th Street, rear, right side. He told me so often how good human flesh was, I made up my mind to taste it. On Sunday, June 13th, 1928, I called on you at 406 West 15th Street, brought you pot, cheese, and strawberries. We had lunch. Grace sat in my lap and kissed me. I made up my mind to eat her on the pretense of taking her to a party. You said yes, she could go. I took her to an empty house on Westchester I had already picked out. When we got there, I told her to remain outside, and she picked wildflowers. I went upstairs and stripped all of my clothes off. I knew if I did not, I would get her blood on them. When all was ready, I went to the window and called her. Then I hid in the closet until she was in the room. When she saw me all naked, she began to cry and tried to run downstairs. I grabbed her, and she said she would tell her mama. First I stripped her naked, how she did kick, bite, and scratch. I choked her to death, then cut her in small pieces so I could take my meat to my rooms, cook, and eat it. How sweet and tender her little ass was roasted in the oven. It took me 9 days to eat her entire body. I did. I was trying to make sure I didn't. Okay, the kids are not. I did not F her, though I could have if I had wished. She died a virgin.
Can I
And
speak now? Or is there more?
huh? No, that's
Can
all
I,
his. That's his entire letter.
I can speak now.
Yeah.
I've been holding this in the whole time. I don't think he was born. with a mental deficit. I don't think he had a missing chromosome. I don't believe he had any form of autism, anything, any kind of mental retardation. I don't think that that was his case. I do agree with him when he said he swept up. I do agree with him. He said he's not all there. He's not. But I think that it was beaten into him. You know, he went through a lot, and then there was a big age gap between his parents. So there's the style of parenting would be different when you have an old man as a father and a young woman as your mother. So there was a lot. I could just see the parents going back and forth on their parenting style, with the older man feeling more inferior that his way is right. So I can see there's going to be a lot of complications in the household. On top of that, the father dies. That puts a lot of strain into the family. Then he's got to be given up. He's given up, and then he's being forced to a lot of things. He's being beaten. He's being forced sexually. He's having his life literally ripped and taken away from him in a short amount of time. So I think that this is a condition that has developed, and the fact that there wasn't adequate enough therapies at the time, he didn't have an outlet and no one that he can trust. It all manifested inside. It all built up, and then he created this persona, which is why he absorbed his or assumed the name of his late sibling. He created a different version of himself to escape all the pain and all the hurt and all the turmoil that he went through. Also, I will say that when he developed the liking and he became to get aroused by the beatings and the sexual ways, I would say it's not uncommon from being an abuse victim to turning into liking it, because you are groomed. You are groomed to like that. He was groomed to be the sexual sadist that he was. He was groomed that for his whole life, some unknowingly ways, and then some definitely knowingly ways. And I believe that the guy that he fell in love with, the letter boy, whatever he was, the telegram guy, he was a very sick individual, a pervert, and he is the kind of guy that we all knew in high school. We all knew a guy in high school that was between 18 and 21 that dated a freshman just coming in that's 14 or turning 15, or even probably still in middle school. There's always that one guy that was that creeper that was with that, and he was that guy, and he turned more wheels into this man's head. So everything that he experienced led him to become the sadist and the very sick individual that he is. Now, did he deserve to die? Absolutely. Absolutely. He knew exactly what he was doing. He was a full sound in mind. He wanted to do that. He was not mentally retarded. He was just a man that went through a lot and was pushed past his limit and gave into it. And he didn't fight against
So
it.
it actually was known that in 1917, around 1917, he started actually having hallucinations. That he once wrapped himself in a carpet and said that he was following the instructions of John the Apostle.
And for that, there is explanation for that. That is, he went through a lot of trauma. So he experienced PTSD his whole entire life untreated. So what he went through was stages of PTSD, which can manifest into hallucinations. That does not necessarily mean that he was schizophrenic or anything in that sense that warrants him to be into an institution. Now, what we have here is a man that was not properly treated. There was not the correct materials at that time to properly diagnose him and get him the right help that he needed. But I do believe, had he have been taken care of the proper way as a younger male, he probably would have explored his bisexuality, but he probably would not have explored his cannibalism.
But I mean, we're talking about late 1800s, where a lot of this was actually quite popular.
Yeah, but I'm saying what I feel. And guys, this is completely how I feel. This is not a 100% fact. This is not something I'm gathering from the internet. This is my brain. What I feel is that had he not been so broken, had he had more of a chance like everybody else that had a chance, it wouldn't have been as severe as it was. It wouldn't have been there was so many different avenues in this case. Literally it could have just went one way, but he was here, he was there. There was a lot of sexual problems, there was physical problems, and then there was a lot of mental problems. I mean, for goodness sake, he was eating shit and drinking piss. That's not something that would have been normal, even in the 1800s. That's something that he was groomed into. So I'm feeling like if he would have had the right people around him, he would have done that normal bullshit for the time, but it wouldn't have led to everything that it led to. Literally, he's crying for help in what he was doing. And that's why he had no shame in writing those letters and taunting these women. He's literally crying for help. And at that point, when you're not being heard for that many decades, fuck it. Who cares anyway? That's why he was so easy to go ahead and help the executioner kill himself, in my opinion. And I say
Right.
this because there's a lot of things that he's gone through that myself can relate to. And I can see that and I can understand that not a lot of people have that ability to empathize with this type of killer because they've never been in any part of his shoes. I've not 100% been in his shoes. His shoes are completely unique to him, but I understand. And I do feel like it could have been avoided. But we're talking about centuries ago when we almost had nothing. And that's why there's certain laws in place now. That's why there's certain refuges in place now. But our children are not safe in these places. You think that when you give your child up for adoption, you put them in the system, into the foster care system. You think that you're doing a justice for your child because you can't take care of them. But you never know how much your little bit is a lot for them, because that stuff that was going on back then still goes on now. Children are still being beaten in the system. They're still being raped in the system, and they're still going missing. A lot of the children that are going into the system are being sex trafficked. They go missing, and there's no tracking on them because once they're in the system, no one cares about them.
Right.
They're just another name on a list. So had he had gotten the help that he needed and had all these other children that have been put into a system funded by our government, which we all know is corrupt and full of shit and is not meant to help us but to keep us down and oppressed. Had these children all had that chance and had that love, a lot of stuff would not be going on. A lot of people come out of that system enraged. They come out of there already feeling hopeless. They're already dead inside. So a lot of them come out and commit these murders, commit these crimes, commit these rapes because they're gone on the inside. They're just a soulless vessel walking around. And so I really do feel like he would not have been as severe. I do feel like he would have done some of that stuff, but most of that was he was groomed to be the way he was.
I think honestly, regardless, I think he still would have.
You think he
Because
would
I
have been
mean,
cannibalism?
I honestly think he still would have.
I
Because
don't know if he would have went that far.
he already had a liking to it.
But when? How did he get the liking to it?
But
Somebody had to introduce him.
here's the problem. Here's the problem. With it being that far away, there was no really clear information onto how his parents got together, why they were so such a big age gap between them.
Probably rape. Or also at that time, people were like, "How is it
They were
overseas?"
being they were
Marriage,
a lot of parents
just arrange their
um
marriage. Yeah.
would do an arranged marriage and do, well, since you're having my daughter, here's, you have to give it almost a dowry, kind of like where you're
Most
paying for your
arranged
marriage.
marriages are about money. A lot of all arranged marriages, in my eye, is just pedophilia and rape.
Well, it just depends, because now arranged marriages are actually quite common, especially in the Asian culture. Um, it's a lot of them want to continue their family line, but they've gotten better at
Not
finding the
marrying off their
perfect.
13-year-old daughter.
No, it's not that
But
anymore.
that's what was very common for the longest, and still sometimes right now.
The 13-year-olds were not sent from Asia. Those were sent from like Russia and
I'm just saying,
all
like,
European countries.
that's what I'm saying, like, was predominantly then. Think about that. That was a very common thing in that culture that we look down upon now, is we now value our children more than that. Back then, I don't believe people valued their children. I believe that they valued.
I don't think so either. That's why I mean, like, there was no well-known information as to how his parents got together. It could have been the fact that maybe she was 16 or 15, which at that time was acceptable for them to be married, and she probably was truly in love with this guy. I mean, who knows? We don't
Yeah.
know. We weren't there.
All we can say
So,
is thank God times have changed. Even though times are completely sucky right now, it's a lot
oh,
better than it was.
if you guys have not watched, there's actually, I hate the word trend now. It's getting on my nerves. Okay, so there's this so-called trend on TikTok, and it's of people showing the age gap of relationships. Here's the thing, I'm okay with age gaps as long as you start your relationship when you were both legal.
And in my eyes,
Okay,
21 and up, baby.
like that's okay. Not when one of them was, I think she said she was 15 and he was like 30 something.
That's
No,
pedophilia.
that's a no. You
Handway.
don't put that up
And be
think
proud
that's
about that.
okay. That's not. Another person was like, "Oh well, he's my sugar daddy." Again, that's completely okay if you started your relationship at a legal age. That's
Oh,
okay
that
because my family is known to have age gaps. My parents have an age gap. My aunt and uncle had like a 20 something age gap. And my other, you know, aunt and uncle have an age gap as well. That's completely okay. Like, they did not start their relationship until they were way
you
over
know,
legal age.
some parents have approved. I feel like if you're over the age of 18, anybody under the age of 18 is off limits. There is a statute of limitation, or there is a law saying that there's 3 years. So saying that if you're 18, you can't date anybody that's younger than 3 years younger than you. I think that's stupid. But there are some parents out there that they don't care about that. They care about the guy. And think about that. An older guys mature way later than girls. So you get an older guy and a younger girl, then you that guy can manipulate that girl versus him being with a girl that is his same age, because then she's far more advanced. So it's easier for a guy to get with a younger girl because they can mold that girl and shape the girl to be who they want that girl to be. And some parents can be charmed by how this guy's coming off, and they're okay with that. Their daughter's getting 14.
I wish my future daughter would be like that. I would smack them to
I think
no
legal parents are
ends.
okay with that.
They're
But
not. I mean, honestly, there's a lot of parents nowadays like that would let their kids be on social media without being monitored. Okay. Like, honestly, in my personal eyes, that's a huge ass
a
no.
big no. And I say that because I have 3 children. 2 of them are both in 5th grade. They're 10 months apart, not twins. And they both have Facebooks that I myself and their grandmother created. I have their Facebook logged in on my phone, their Messenger on my phone, and on my computers. I can get in and I can see everything, but they have their access, and I give them limits. I tell them who they can message. Well, they can't message anybody on regular Messenger. They have these kids Messenger, and who they can reply to, who messages them on their Facebook walls and stuff. And I look as they're replying. I'm over their shoulder. So there's nothing that's gonna go on that mama don't know because there any kind of email or thing comes to my phone. Mama. So I feel like if you're gonna let your children have access to the internet, you need to be right beside them. So when my kids want to watch TikTok, I'm looking what you watching. They want to watch YouTube, we're in the same room or I can hear what they're playing.
Right.
You know, you have to be more vigilant because now,
And the older they get, the more curious they are, and the more
especially now with
peer
Snapchat
pressure
thing,
that they get.
did you see how impressionable Snapchat is amongst these little kids? They're able to sext in private, and they have that geo tracking thing. So now they're able to be found wherever they're Snapchatting from. It will pinpoint exact location, and they can be picked up and taken from that location while they're trying to put a sexy pose up or do a sexy talk. There's a lot of that, and then there's Snapchats going around of forcing children to commit heinous crimes, either cutting themselves or killing themselves or shooting at something. There was one where the guy was riding through shooting. Like there's a lot going on that kids can hide from us.
That's why
I
I honestly cannot stand the word trend, because like as soon
Mhm.
as you put something,
Trend.
the word trend in front of it,
Everybody
kids
goes crazy.
kids will go immediately and start doing it. It makes it worse when the people that they watch, the people that they idolize,
Way too wrong.
are doing it too, and
Yeah.
it looks like they're having fun. Like parents have to really watch who their kids
Mhm.
watch, regardless, because you can easily be on YouTube and put down, say that it's okay for kids, and kids
And
can
it's not.
watch it,
We've seen
and
plenty of cases where
you
that's
just turn around and they can have a secret message, or they can whatever. Like I cannot stand this gamer guy named Preston and his wife. He quote Apparently he's quote unquote like a Christian. I don't say this, but the way he talks and the way he treats people in his videos is not very Christian like. The way that he's forcing his friends, even if it's just for views, for them to do, you know, stuff in order to win money. Like, why? Why are you putting your friends through all
there,
that?
there was
And
a
honestly,
time
his voice is annoying.
there was
Him
a
and his
time
wife's voice is really annoying.
I had I had the kids blocked from playing Roblox because there was raping going on Roblox. Full on hackers making characters get raped. So when I became aware of that, I'm like, oh no, we're taking it out. Now I got a profile on almost every social media outlet there is, whether I know how to use it or not. I got one because I want to know what's going on in this world because my children are smart as hell. My son is a future coder. My daughter is a fucking genius. They're smart as hell. I have to try to be 30 steps ahead of them because I'm getting older. My brain is not working as fast as this. So I'm trying to figure out what's going on so I know how I want to counteract because then you'll pull one on mama, honey. Your mama was playing games.
And I mean,
I know how to play
parents have
games.
to really be careful nowadays too.
Yeah.
Like back then, they didn't have social media. They didn't, kids were able to run outside, were able to go to the stores by themselves.
I
Even when I was younger, I was able to go by myself, but at the same time, my parents instilled on me how to be safe. But now
Mine,
we've got,
you never left. You never
huh?
left the house. You was always in the house.
Oh no, I snuck out. I snuck out several times.
Ooh, you getting in
I snuck.
trouble.
I
They're
snuck
gonna get
out.
whooping. I
Look,
never
my
snuck
to
out.
this day, my parents don't know when I lost my virginity.
I'm gonna tell you this. I have never ever snuck out. I just never came home.
Yeah, no, I snuck
I
out
never gave a shit if I came home or
because
not.
my mom would come into my room to wake me up, so I had to be back.
My mom
But
was
I
playing
snuck
video
out.
games. We was on the computer, and when I just decided I'd come home when I wanted to and take an ass beating and go to bed. Mom will tell
Oh
you right
yeah,
now, I
no,
didn't give a shit. Like
I was terrified of my mom.
I didn't give
But
a
and
shit.
you would
I didn't.
think me being terrified of my mom, I would never sneak out in the first place, but I did because it was peer pressure. And this is what I'm telling you guys. Like peer pressure when you get older is god awful. It's awful. Be
Not to me,
careful.
'cause I didn't give a shit. I did what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. But behind the scenes, I had a different kind of life that people didn't know about. So they only saw one part of me, and I was judged very heavily on the part of me that people saw, but they didn't know the why I was doing what I was doing. So like I skipped school only 3 or 4 times in my life, and one of the times that I skipped school was to lose my virginity. No, nobody knew that. Like nobody knew. Mom didn't know I wasn't at school. She saw me go down to the bus stop, and then I
You'll
got in the
never
van.
know how I lost my virginity.
I got in the
Ooh.
van, and I went and I did my thing. And then before I left, I said, "Can I come back tomorrow?"
I will say this, when that happened to me, I did not ask to come back.
I'm
That
gonna
was
tell you,
I don't think my experience, I don't think anybody should experience what I had experienced.
I think my experience, the person, a big old no, but I think what prepared me for my first time was a dream I had. I lost my virginity in a dream, y'all.
Oh my god.
Y'all never done that? Don't tell me you never had a realistic dream like that. Girl, it was
No.
so realistic. We were in the park. It was so
But guys,
realistic.
we were just letting you guys know because I mean, like with this story, the
Like a
mom
football.
literally let their 10-year-old daughter go with a
No question.
58-year-old man
No
that
question asked.
just came by to their house
Yeah.
that day.
I don't
Just
even think
don't.
he even knew. Like he didn't probably even drop a name of who the kid was. She didn't ask any questions. She just let the child go, and that was it. The child was gone. I think all the gods, whoever you pray to, whatever religion you are, whoever is your higher power, I thank them for not allowing her to be raped. It's bad enough that she got killed and dismembered, but it could have been worse. I mean, I don't know what's
I
worse than she being dismembered though and
I mean,
cannibalized.
he immediately knew he was gonna kill her. Immediately knew.
I believe like when he was in the institution, I believe, there's a lot of things that happen that a lot of people don't know or don't remember or recognize. Like there was a lot of shock therapy going on. There was a lot of painful things that people had to endure. And I believe that just kind of helped fuel that violent rage in him because, like I said, he lost his family. Even though he reunited with his mother, he got ripped apart from what was his comfort. And he was automatically
I
injected
don't
into
think he was really comforted in that though. His
But
dad,
I'm not saying like comfort as in feeling warm and fuzzy, but comfort as in that's what he knew his whole life.
I still don't think that was it though. I think
I
he
do.
just was in that situation just to be in that because he was just born into that situation.
I really think that his trauma really played a big part in that. I really do. I really have a hard
Maybe
time.
from the orphanage, yeah, definitely from the orphanage.
Do you
But
think that his
I don't believe from his actual childhood.
you
I think
think
it's
that his
immediately
household
from
was
the
just like
orphanage
fucked
because
up
you're thinking he went to the orphanage at the age of 5.
and got
Okay.
out
He
at 10, right?
got out at 10. So he was only at the orphanage for 5 years.
But that's a
Okay.
long time for a little kid.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I think it was strictly from the orphanage what started it. I don't think it's from when he was reunited back with his family. I
No.
think after when he met the boy when he was 12, yes. But I think it started with the orphanage, then
Yes.
continued when he met
The boy, and then was it in the orphanage that they also institutionalized him, or was that two separate instances?
No. His two siblings got put into a mental.
He wasn't
No, he
institutionalized.
wasn't.
So I got
He
that completely
was in an
wrong.
orphanage because his mom couldn't take care of him after that
Right.
bad.
So I did get that completely wrong, but still, there's a lot, because we don't know what's going on in that orphanage other than what a child chooses to tell us.
At that orphanage, and he started liking it.
And that we don't know we don't know, like, to the extent, like, what all was actually done behind those doors. But I will say, when you are from 5 years old to 10 years old, that's a very impressionable time. That's when you're molding and you're becoming your own and you're learning. So that is where I say the grooming came into play, because that was a great time to frame his mind. So of course he started to become addicted to that and fall in love with that, because to him that was his, in my eyes, that was his time with another person. He equated that to that loving feeling.
I just honestly wish we could like set our minds to like think how they thought just for like a little bit, not do their actions, not to the point where we do their actions, but enough to like really get into their mind and like.
Have you ever seen any Harry Potter movie? Have you ever seen any Harry Potter movie?
Yeah, all of them.
I love Harry Potter. There was one movie, I can't recall because I'm old now, my brain doesn't work. I got a lot of things going on. But in one movie, there was a scene where he took the wand and extracted his memory and put it into that little vat of liquidation. But at that same time, Harry's face was submerged into this, and he got put into the memory. I wish we could do that.
Okay, I don't want anything extracted.
Yeah, it didn't hurt.
But I get what you're saying. I know. No, I still don't want to get it. I still don't want anything extracted.
Oh,
I don't like any kind of extraction.
There's no kind of pain in that. It's all magic. Boom, I extracted you. It's just magic.
No.
Everybody's magical.
We are running out of time, you guys. So we're gonna end this.
It was a good conversation. That was a good case.
It was. I honestly, like I said, just wanted to do his case because of all his quotes that he had. Plus, he had that letter to the mom, which I found like, whoa. And that was the only letter he wrote to any of his victims. And I honestly think the only letter he wrote, period.
I tried to post that Cat of Nine Tails thing, and it would not let me post it while we were live. It acted like there was no way I could do it. It was just doing some jibber jab. If you can see in there, some jibber jab. So once it allows me to actually post a photo, you'll see the whip that he used
for this boy that he did.
But it definitely looks like some BDSM shit.
So Thursday, you guys, come back Thursday. We have Amber's double feature going on. Sunday, we have a little special talk. We want to talk to you guys on Sunday. So look forward to that.
I did tell you guys that one of the double features is about Little Miss Nobody. The other one is about a young little boy. I don't want to get all my stuff. You got enough out of me. I don't tease. You got a little bit out of me, so be happy about that.
I mean, I think knew. I think you told us last week. I think you told us.
I only said Little Miss Nobody. I never told you what the second one's about. This time I threw in it's about a boy. So y'all are catching some stuff from me that I don't typically give out. This week, you're getting something. Hopefully, there's going to be one of these Sundays that we have our talks, that my husband will be on camera and we'll do a mukbang. I like saying it like that, so don't make fun of me. Wrong.
Oh my gosh.
I'm
Okay,
sophisticated.
we're gonna work on her pronunciation.
Wrong.
Okay. So we will see you guys here back on Thursday. We hope you have a wonderful rest of the week with schools being back. If you guys are parents, please pray for me for the next 2 weeks with these kids. So far, they did so good when they got up this morning and did their online classes.
It's only 1 day, boo. It's only 1 day, boo.
This is literally what one of my friends said. My friend was like, for having no kids, you sure are acting like a mom. Because I was like, woke up at 6:30, walked the dog, had the kids set up, brushed their teeth,
that
had
is
them
because
wash, made
you
their
don't really
breakfast
have
in
kids.
front of their computer.
That's because you don't really have kids. Once you have some kids, there's cereal in there. Leave me alone.
Oh, I mean, I was used to that, but it was the fact that I was trying to get myself in routine too. So hopefully I could go to bed, which by the way, I'm like halfway closing my eyes because I only had just a few hours of sleep. And it took me like an hour and a half nap while the kids were watching Netflix today, like after their class. As soon as the youngest one said, I'm done with class and Francie, I was knocked out. I was ready. I was in my bed. Like I was knocked out. Did not have I have my small little blanket on top of me. I didn't even use my comforter. Small blanket. I was knocked out.
Hey, don't kill each other. I'm gonna take a nap.
I had the door wide open. They were in here. Every now and then I asked what they were doing. I don't remember what they said. I assume it was watching Netflix. But I will pray for you parents until your kids are the age of 18 and through college. Have a great week. Be safe. Have fun. Don't have too much fun now. Well, if you do have too much fun, let us know what you did.
Please, yeah, I want to know about fun because
be nosy.
Yeah, y'all are friends, right?
And I will tell you guys this probably on Thursday because I was gonna eat ramen while I talk, but I was like, no, because then my ramen's gonna get cold. But I tell you, next Thursday, when she's doing her double feature, I'm gonna be the one eating. I'm gonna be the one eating like probably either ramen or curry or something.
We
Just
were
let you guys know.
accidentally matching today. I took my sweater off. About to put it back on.
Yeah.
Accidentally matching.
We both are wearing full on black tank top, black pants.
But I'm usually in black.
But this is mustard yellow. Hers is regular yellow.
But I gave you that. You had to stand.
You did. This is like my favorite. This was my favorite ones because it's so light and airy.
You have
it's
to
like
show
my favorite one.
I don't like stuff like that, so I was so quick to give it to her.
I love them.
And it's hot.
So I'm gonna keep on telling you guys because we're trying to go. Okay, she keeps talking.
I don't like to leave them.
She keeps talking. So like again, just come back on Tuesday. Gosh dang it, just come back on Tuesday. We don't have.
You skip Thursday and Sunday.
Oh, I'm sorry, Thursday. Dang. You know what? Here's the thing though. We missed the kids' virtual open house today.
Fuck!
But the good part is, and the thing is, I just spoke to the teachers today about it.
Oh,
God. I said, I will definitely let their mom know. Completely forgot while we were at the store. So we are going to do the virtual house on Thursday.
Okay.
We're doing it Thursday.
Up under my covers.
So Thursday. So we will see you guys here back on Thursday. Love you guys. Enjoy. Take some shots for me. I need it. I need to go to sleep. I'm going to show y'all real quick.
Hello. That's my daughter. I wish she could see me right now. She would tell me, Mama.
She's asleep with it.
Yeah. I mean, she get it honest, honey. Anywhere it's coming from. She would definitely be like, Mama, why are you embarrassing me? My head is stuck.
Okay, well, we're going to go. Y'all have fun. Okay? Don't make fun of us. Don't hate us. Okay? We love you guys. Bye.